Gentlemen, I cannot wait for you guys to see this next segment with my friend, Motown. Motown is one of the guys from the camp, as they call it, the shootout camp on the East Coast. Good friend of mine, runs a lot of my equipment. We're going to get into that. Let me bring you all up to date where I'm at on this road trip. So I'm shooting this whole series. Okay, we're doing this whole series where I'm traveling around, I'm interviewing people. I call it the spoken word. At this point in this run of the series, I'm in Richmond, Virginia. Now, I've learned over the years that I don't really tell people where I'm going or who I'm going to go interview or who I'm going to go see next, because it turns into it can get complicated. There's a lot of local, politics that go on everywhere you go, and I'm not too interested in getting involved in those, and I don't want people's homes to get overrun and invaded with people. Like my friend Motown, he's a very private man, good dude, opened his home up to me and said, come on in, right? But at this point in the journey, I've been on the road now at this point for 3 weeks, going on close to 4 at this point, right? A large chunk of my time got eaten up by my friend Snake Eyes over in Connecticut. He lives at the very farthest east point of Connecticut, and he's getting ready to build himself. I'll just say it's very substantial. That's the best way to put it. And at the time of filming of this video, it's up and running and blah, 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 blah. I went over to go help him out. I want to help him get his box running and get his coax right and that kind of thing. I wasn't able to develop at the Grand Rapids break. There was a couple more interviews that I wanted to do post the break, but I wasn't able to do. There was this guy running around doing interviews there, and it made for a very weird environment, I guess would be the best way to put it. And me personally, I thought it'd be best if I just laid back, was quiet, kept to myself, and got to meet people and start building one-to-one relationships with most of these people I got to meet, instead of going, hey, you want to be on an interview? Like I said, this is a whole series where I've traveled around the United States, and please, if you're new to the channel, take a minute, come to the channel, go look at playlists. You'll see that there's a playlist with, I think we're up to about 12 of these things now, called the spoken word. Of course, the first one I think everybody's seen. It's got like 40 or 50,000 views or something. It's with me in Motormouth Mall way back when. We're talking 5-6 years ago now. Go peruse it. So I'm all the way on the far end of Connecticut. Now, where I need to go is down to Richmond, which is no big deal. You jump on 95 and you go through, Philly and New York and Long Island and, Washington, D.C. And I wanted to avoid all of that. So when I left Snake Eyes' place, which I spent 5 or 6 days with him, doing stuff, working on stuff, running around getting parts, a lot of back and forth. I got to spend a couple of those days where I went down and I got my friend Donald, Shockwave. Finally get to meet him, known him for like 8-9 years. Brought him up, and we spent a couple days working on this amp together and just hanging out. Had a good time. It was a good time. It was no interview. I have nothing to add other than to say that now we're literally 3 weeks into this trip, almost 4 at this point. And on my way from leaving over there in Connecticut, I stopped and I got to see my other friend, Bone Crusher, my little Italian buddy. I always made fun of him, called him an Ewok, because he's a very hairy Italian man. Him and his wife and his daughter are friends of mine, been friends of mine, like I said, for about the same amount of time I've been friends with Shockwave, about 10 years, 8-10 years. Learned a lot from these guys, a lot. And it was neat. I got to go spend an evening with them. We ate, his wife cooked us this beautiful meal. It was time to do laundry. I've been on the road for literally like 3 weeks at this point, 3.5 weeks. And everything I had was pretty grossed out. Of course, it was pretty warm this summer. Let's not lie. Let's not forget that just a month or so ago, it was really hot. I got this picture of his wife. His wife is, well, she comes up to about, think about here, just below my boobs, right? And she's got one of my shirts, and she's doing, she would not let me touch that washing machine to save my life. I was like, come on, I don't want to, no. I got it. Go away, go play with Jeff. I'm like, okay. She's standing there in front of her washing machine. She's holding up one of my shirts, right? And it's like 3 times the size that she is. I'm so big that I basically wear a sheet. And it's just, a big guy. Got to spend some time with them. And then when I left them, I went out through the country because I wanted to avoid all the major metropolitan areas. And the other thing is I wanted to travel through New York at night. I didn't want to go through, let's face it, I live way out here in Hickville, Idaho, right? Some of the bigger cities, they have a huge crime issue that's going on. And I just want to avoid it. And I wanted to avoid the traffic. So I ended up driving out and going around and then coming back into Richmond. I went out in the country and got a hotel in the middle of nowhere. I had a wonderful night's rest and then hooked back in, and I actually went down and I delivered. I had a fairly large amplifier with me. One of the other major reasons I went on this road trip. Okay, so one was to go see my friend Snake Eyes. The other one was to go drop off this giant amp, which was too big for me to ship, and it was also too delicate for me to trust being in a crate getting bounced down the road. So down the road we went. The other reason that I went out on the road was I wanted to go meet my friend Tony and my friend Michelle and my friend Brooke and all the people over at Fat Boy, and go get to meet my student Chris and those kind of things. Now, if you're looking at it on a map, it'd make more sense for me to go directly from where I was at in Connecticut, which is right up against Rhode Island or Long Island, or pardon me, New Jersey, and go directly down to Fat Boy. I didn't do that. I wanted to get this big amplifier that had been sitting in my truck now for 3 weeks, getting bounced around. I wanted to go drop it off. So we went and we dropped that off, got it all set up. Then I backtracked a little bit up to my friend Motown. Okay, so now we're all up to date. We understand that I'm getting tired at this point, y'all. But I'm not done yet. We got a long road to hoe yet. Just bear with me. So I drop in and I see my friend Motown. With everybody starting to figure out where I'm at and where I'm going, right? So they're all listening for me, talking on the radio and whatnot. And I had a great time with my friend Motown. Let's roll into this and let's get this the video rolling here. I want to say this. I apologize. The audio is not the best. I don't know if my new fancy lapel microphone system wasn't plugged in all the way. It didn't get captured in the little, you'll see the guys, they got their little lapel mics on, but we ended up having to run a scratch audio on the camera. I didn't know this at the time, or I would have. It ended up working out for the best because we ended up interviewing 2 people. Primarily, we're here to interview Motown. The second person that we got to get a little bit of history off of was a gentleman by the name of Music, which everybody knows him. Everybody knows Motown. The other thing I want to really stress to everybody in the radio universe is that y'all are looking at it wrong. Either I'm the only one looking at it right, or y'all are looking at it wrong. Let's make this really clear. If you are an amp builder and you build amplifiers and somebody purchases your amp and then they put them in their truck and then they use their time and their money to go shoot out with their truck and their equipment, whoever the amp builder is, that has absolutely nothing to do with you as the amp builder. And I think it's really funny when I listen to people go, well, Baby I's never won anything. You're right. I live all the way out here in Idaho. I have never been to a key down other than the one that I host. And I never participated in it because I'm the host. That'd be like giving out a belt and then all of a sudden making yourself have a big giant gold belt and say, well, I'm going to give myself a belt too, just simply because I gave all these other people. That's not how that works. I've never been in a shootout. I've never built a shootout truck. But I say this, I have lots and lots and lots of friends and customers that have. And this just happens to be one of them. This gentleman here, Motown, calls me up out of the blue one day and says, hey, my name is so-and-so. Never heard of him. Because once again, I'm on this side of the United States. He goes, I'm really heavy into the shootout scene, and I'd like you to build me this box, and this box. But then in turn, I need to have this box, and this box repaired. It took a hot minute, me being all the way on this side of the United States, to figure out what he needed. But once I was able to get on the phone with his antenna guy. And I was able to understand what he was wanting to put in the antennas, like what he was looking for at the feed point. We'll let the story tell itself. Needless to say, when it comes to a shootout truck, it's never just one guy. It's never just the builder. It's a team, right? And I always found it very arrogant and self-aggrandizing when you decide that you're going to say, well, you know, I want all this stuff because I got something. That's not how this works. It's a team effort. And I think that you guys forget that the antennas and the grounding and the bonding on the truck and the setup on the truck is more important than the amplifiers, in my opinion. Needless to say, I think you guys are going to enjoy this interview. Let's get started. I'll be hopping back in here a couple more times. So let's get started. Gentlemen, my good friend, Mr. Motown. Fancy ass goddamn camera ain't worth a damn. Not a pit pot damn, man. I'm here to tell you. Well, I mean, how many years old is this Canon?
It's an old boy. You can got an old memory card in it.
I have a brother back in the day. This thing was.
Well, back in the day, that
this
was it.
This was fancy, and this is yours. And this is a few years a little bit older. Gentlemen, we're joined by my good friend, Mr. Motown here. He runs one or two pieces of my equipment, I guess. Oh, man. Okay, so it's 1971. And you're a younger man than we are today, correct?
Amen on that.
So, how'd you get started? Was it a family member, a friend? Who turned you into the joy of pushing the button and yelling in a microphone?
A little buddy of mine was called Blanket. A little guy. Baddest little thing that was out there. Cheatingest little thing out there, but everybody around the city loved him to death. He the one that introduced me to talking about CB radio. And I rode around in a truck all the time, did service work. He talked me into putting it in the truck, and I had good fun with it. So he introduced me to it, and that's what I started doing, talking on CB.
Get this fancy ass camera going now. Finally, now your phone starts ringing. Do you need to take that?
You got an answer machine. That's dog. I don't know what he want. Hello. We in the house. Say what? Well, I can't check it now. Anyhow, we in here doing something, doing a video.
We got two young women, and we're doing a casting couch video, and we're asking them whether they want to get into porn.
Just come on in the front. All right. That's one of them boys.
We're gonna have company, aren't we? We'll come back to this. We'll come back to it later tonight.
No, we can do the dog. I don't know why he want me to check his equipment. I ain't no technician.
Because he's wanting an excuse to come over and
to see you. He know you
yeah,
here.
I know.
You know.
How far away is our friend? Our newfound friend?
Don't dog?
Yeah.
In the back.
Shit.
And Blanket's dead, so I know this is the first time his name been pronounced I don't know how many times.
Oh. How old were you when you and Blanket were running around?
For 21, 20, 22, 23, something like that.
23 channel radio?
Yeah, 23 channel radio.
What was it?
Cobra 29. It's all the newer. No, it was a Craco. My first radio was a Craco, Radio Shack. You know, I ain't know nothing about radios. Just wanted me something to do some talking.
Right.
You don't realize the value of a difference in radios until you learn about radio.
AM only? Or AM and sideband?
Just AM. Never did like sideband.
What channel do you guys run?
Right here in the city, we run 22.
Even back then?
Back then, back in the, I was a little boy. So, little boy stayed on 21. Big boy stayed on 22. Medium boy stayed on 23.
So you're all clustered together.
Right.
So back in the beginning, what was a big linear back when you were a kid? In the mobile, let's say.
And on mobile, well, AP was the biggest thing around. Back when I first started, anybody hear the AP, they was one of the baddest things. I'm not too familiar with, back in the day, some of the boys had 2 boxes in the mobile.
Yeah.
Alright. Yeah. Like I said, it was all secretive. Nobody never knew what nobody ran. No such thing as looking at nobody's equipment.
Right.
When we want to fight each other, just pull up to the line and fight. If you got a 4-pill, you got a 16-pill, we just fight.
We're talking back in the day.
Back in the day.
Back in the day. Alright, so you guys had little shootouts or that kind of thing back even in the 70s.
Right. We used to go out to the park.
What park?
Broad Rock Park over South Side. Or either Cimarron Park. We got 2 parks. One on this side of town, one on the south side part of town. Then we have a little, what we call coffee breaks. And the coffee break just consists of people's going out there meeting and greeting, hollering at everybody, shaking hands and keying on each other.
Keying on each other?
Right, we just key on each other. Stand beside you and key up against you, talk shit about you. You know, let you get in front, let you go first, then key somebody come behind you and key.
Here. I think your friend made it here finally. So, 4th time the charm. Let's try this again here in a minute. Son of a bitch. You busy man.
There you go.
Okay, so this guy by the name of Dog shows up. He had found himself what he thought was a 10 pill. It turned out to be a 12 pill. He had heard that maybe I might have been in town, and he was wanting to come over and just meet me, which I thought was great. I was very flattered by that, and it was great to get to meet him. And he was using this amp as kind of an excuse, and he was. So we spent some time working on that, and then Music reached out. Our friend Music reached out, and we all piled in the back of my Suburban, and we took off, and we went. Now listen, you guys, I'm a foodie. I mean, look at me. I like food, okay? But I'm not the kind of guy that wants to go to the restaurant that's going to cost $800 for 4 people to eat at. You know, I'm not into the $300 hunk of, you know, Wagyu, grade A. That's not my thing. What I'm into is the greasy spoon, like where you show up and they hand you a plastic pack with like a threek in it, you know, a spork. Not a fork and a knife and a spoon, but a spork. You know, where we ended up going and having lunch was laid way back in the Virginia hillsides. It was great. It was one of the 3 places that I call real America. Makes sense? It was an old tin roofed building on the side of the highway out in the middle of nowhere. Well, my entire trip out there, I've been hearing about this guy, Duck Hunter, how he was the big guy, whatever, you know, in that area. And I started putting 1 + 2 + 3 together. There used to be a guy that was here in my town in the early 80s. Or not early 80s, late 80s, early 90s. And his handle was Duck Hunter. First name is Frank. Super cool guy. I've known him since I was I think 11 or 12 years old, and he had a Texas Star Sweet 16 that he had in the back of his truck. Now, Idaho at that time, I will definitely tell you, was not the nexus of high-powered radio. It wasn't, still is not. If you had a 2-pill Texas Star, your man sausage was huge, okay? Like, damn, that's the biggest damn thing I've ever seen. And you, as a kid, as a 12-year-old kid, Frank was kind enough. I got to meet up with him and talk with him a couple times. He ran around the neighborhood or around town here for a couple years. He was in the military, and he got transferred out here. And that was one of the things that kind of started me on my career path to where I'm at today. It was getting to see how that affected the radio community here locally and the excitement of the whole thing. It made me go, "Ooh, this is cool," right? Just by chance, he happened to live 20 minutes from where we were going to go have lunch. So we all went to lunch. Music, Motown, myself, and my friend Frank, duck hunter. And it was neat because I got to show up with the truck now. I mean, we're talking 31 years later. I showed up with my Suburban with a 48 pill in it and all the new fancy technology and the in-dash meters and, you know, all the fancy stuff in it, and the new lithium batteries and dual alternators, and got to show them all that. And man, it was hot. But this restaurant, the barbecue we got at this restaurant, we show up, and this old gentleman comes out of the back of the building and goes, well, no, we don't have a restaurant. There's no sit down. You're going to eat in your car. He goes, figured this out during COVID. And we were the first ones in line. Now, I thought, man, what kind of jank joint is this? Everybody's like, it's the best barbecue, blah, blah. There's 2 lanes for this business. So it's me, Motown, music in my truck, and then Frank behind us in his truck. And then all of a sudden the cars start piling up. It's the kind of place that's open 3 days a week, doesn't open till noon, closes at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Barbecue's all gone. I had brisket, which was amazing. I had chicken, which was amazing. I mean, absolutely amazing chicken. The slaw and the beans were, it was good eating, right? I love the Greasy Spoon. If I come to a town near you and I get to meet you, you're taking me to the Greasy Spoon. I'm not interested in going to the Ruth Chris or to the whatever. I want to go to give me the dirty dive joint that's got the good food in it. You know what I mean? That's my thing. So we went off, we had some lunch, and we all went back to Mr. Jefferson's place, Motown's place, and we sat down and we were able to get on with the show. So, gentlemen, on that note, I think we're...
You catch me, my lies. You hear me?
Let him tell his BS his way.
There you go.
You guys can talk shit about it later after the whole song and dance is done. All right, so we're on take 4, boys and girls, of the legendary Mr. Jefferson, right? And now we're joined by the man, the myth, the legend in his own mind, Music Man, right? I can't call you by your last name because then I'll be crowding into Mr. Jefferson's ego airspace, right?
Yeah, we don't want that to happen.
All right, so we were back on 1971. So since that, we had a guy show up that we had to magically check his amplifier.
Yup. Mr. Mad Dog.
Oh. Then we went and had some wonderful lunch. We met up with our friend Music here and our other friend Duck Hunter, old Frank. I'm telling you, that guy's known me since before I even knew what my schmeckle was used for. Dude, he met me in my mom's front yard, I think, when I was 12. Yeah, we've known each other for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 1971, you running around with your guy. You had 23 channel radio. It was a realistic radio. AM only or sideband? Help me out.
AM only.
AM only. What kind of antenna did you have on your van?
Shit, anything I could find. I ain't particularly knew about no brand. As of the day, I still don't know about no brand or no antenna. Antenna to me. You know, just doing the shoot-ups with you sticks.
Okay, so it's from 71 until it was just in the work truck. When was your first bass? When did you get your first bass?
My first bass was a Colt. I'll never forget it. Colt radio, 40 channel. Brought it from an appliance store where I go pick my appliance parts up there. They had base stations. I said, what kind of that? Colt. And I bought a Colt. Became my base station. SSB and all that good stuff. Never went on sideband, but it had it.
What'd you have for an antenna at the house?
Super penetrator.
Nice.
Left super penetrator. Then left super penetrator. Then I went to Joe Guns. Went to Joe Hillbilly. Hillbilly, the best one I always liked. Thing I got now. I just call it Joe Gun 2 elements. But still Joe Gun. I like Joe Gun because it's simple, the two is similar. One thing you have to adjust is the cameras. Both right in.
So what was the motivation to take you from running around in the mobile to putting up a base, and what year was it that you put your first base up?
Whoa. Well, I've been here 40 years, and I had a base before I came here, so what made me put up my first base station was the point. When I got out the truck at night, I couldn't talk to the boys. And they still out there talking. So I put my first antenna up the street in Richmond, up here on Victor Street, mounted it to the chimney, another super penetrator, mounted it up there, and that's what I did. I was renting then in a duplex. When I brought my first home, this mounts to here, all I was looking for was two things: 2 storage and a garage. I was happy.
So, okay, when did somebody ever start talking about your first linear, and who was it?
I can't remember who talked to me first about linears, but the only person I knew that did linear amplifiers was Bodine. That's what I started out with. And it kind of, I think he, right here in Virginia, he monopolized Virginia at the particular time.
So when did you first meet Bodine?
I think I met him, well, the first time I dealt with him. I never sent anything to him. I always took stuff to him. I'm the type of person I like to take my equipment to you and wait on it. So you can finish
I
it.
broke you of that.
No, you didn't break me of that. Bodine broke me of that.
All right.
And the reason he broke me out of that, I had 2 boxes, little 8 tuber and a 6 tuber.
Built by who? Bodine himself?
No, they won't be about Bodine. It's regular, I don't remember what the name of them was. But they factory boxes. The factory box, the small 8 tuber. And he told me to bring them down there. You're going to take them out and build me a 2 tuber. That went on for about 2 years. Never got the boxes back, never got the 2 tuber. So I used to go. I was racing motorcycles during that time. So when I anywhere near Carolina, I stopped through there. He ain't never at home. People say he ain't never at home. I never ended up with my box. So that actually took me away from tubes. I just stuck with transistors and got involved in transistors, having them done by now.
What was your first one?
Well, first, damn, I can't go back that far. That's in arcades. That's back up there.
Has Jesus come and gone at that point?
Yeah,
Right? So
come
it's
and
way
gone.
back, so they just invented the wheel.
Yeah, well, because the first box, well, I know the first thing I had was a 4-pill. What they call it? Texas Star? Not Texas Star. What they call it? Popular, most popular 4-pill that was out there.
Palomar?
No, wasn't Panama. That's before they was making homemade boxes like BBI, and they all make everything was factory built.
Right.
You know.
Which really, when you boil it down, was 2 Asian ladies in a sweatshop in California. Anyhow. That's Texas Star, by the way. Anyhow.
Okay.
So you don't remember who built your first 2-pill. What'd you have for a radio on your first 2-pill?
29.
So we finally got away from the rotary knob channel 23, and you're now onto a Cobra 29. And it's, from what I can tell, you still got a little bit of a love and affection for that, right?
I always gonna love the 29, but I left 29 and went to the Galaxy.
They do have quite a few of them here.
Yeah, I'm a Galaxy man. Like their design.
Yeah.
You know, one Galaxy, Texas Star, and everybody still look like a Galaxy to me. You know. But Galaxy, what I like, simple reason I like the Galaxy, because Galaxy came with that counter on it. You know.
Yeah.
Right there. Ended up
That
talking.
was the only reason I ever liked the 2950 is because it had the display on the front of it and it was frequency and it was like more fancy. But
Yeah, pre-cam and all that.
okay, so we're in the mid 80s now, right? So you're now running around in the van, and then let's talk about what's occupied the last 10 years of your life. And don't let him get away with no lies. You've been in here telling stories for the last 2 hours, so you're going to have to jump in here at some point. Say hi, music.
Hi.
Oh my God, listen to his voice. He went from the biggest bull voice on the face of the earth to hi. Oh my God. Okay. So you're in the 80s, you run around, got a house full of wife and kids and busy. And then you decided that you wanted to get into shootouts. How did that even come to be? What started that whole path? Because it took a long time to get there, didn't it?
Oh, yes, it did. Like I said, the boys used to have a little shootout at the park. Go to the park. We had two parks on one side of town, park on the other side of town. We go shoot out, play with each other. And I just got a little work truck with an antenna on it. And I get called out all the time. There was this one guy that called me out every time we went to the park. Until I got to the point, I said, okay, you want to call me out next month. I want to make my buddy 5'9" an option. Sell me your Suburban and fix it up any kind of way you want to fix it up. He probably kept it for about 6 months himself, playing with it, tuning it up, setting it up. I just let him keep it. Do what you want to do with it until you get it straight. And then he passed. When he passed, then I got the truck. Then after I got the truck, I took everything he had in it out, junked it all. That won't me. Just by listening to people, so he had things redone. He had the truck set up the way I like the truck set up.
Who redid it for you?
On the inside, I did all my own setting up and stuff like that. But when it came to my antennas, they run a low boom. Anything over 2 antennas, they ran what you call a low boom. Stretched out to 3 antennas, 4 antennas, 5 antennas. I ain't nothing about that. So that's when I went to talk to music. Said, I need me an antenna system. But took him charge me. So he gave me a price, said he could do it. Drop the truck off, get it straight. So dropped the truck off. Went back down there after he got it straight, checked everything out, everything else looked good, huh? I was having some CC camp. Damn, I got a shootout truck now. And we ran the low boom. Played with the low boom for a while. Then everybody went to the high boom. I really didn't want the high boom because I'm a one-man army. With the high boom, it's going to take more than one person to work with the equipment to set it up. So that's when I decided to go see this other dude named Breed. He gave me a low boom with extenders on it. They could never be stabilized for me.
You're talking about the antennas wagging back and forth and stuff.
Right. The antennas in the boom itself
Right.
wasn't stabilized, just wagging back and forth. So after I dealt with that for a while, I said, I'm going to the high boom. So I went to see Mr. Music again. And he created me the high boom.
Can you imagine the amount of volume that he's put out over the last hour? We've been sitting here talking, all of a sudden he's got the mute button engaged.
I ain't got the mute button engaged, but I was told not to interrupt, so I'm listening. You just told me not to. If he lied, make sure you get his lie straight.
I'm gonna cut him free for that. Since he said I'm restricted now.
All right. Hold on.
So, music. Let's talk about this guy. He's been sitting off frame, and you gotta understand at this point I'd spent 2 or 3 hours, 4 hours with this guy, and this guy can talk. Oh, between these two, oh, it's brutal. At lunch, these guys were ribbing each other so hard, I felt bad for both of them because they both known each other for so long. They were telling tales from, oh man, it was horrible. Hey man, remember that time you got a blowy from what's her face? Yeah, but then I turned around, it was bad. It was bad. These two were talking mad shit with each other. And so he decided he was going to stay. Well, if you noticed in this last segment, Miss Jefferson keeps looking at him like, are you going to check me on that? So I decided I'd bring him into the conversation. And then as soon as he got in front of the camera, he got all serious. Oh, it was unbelievable. If you watch the end of the interview, I shake everybody's hands and then I get up because I got to go to the bathroom, right? These two start talking to each other, and they are just, the shit starts slinging between the two of them, but they don't realize the camera's still rolling, right? The personality here between what I was getting off camera and what I was getting on camera is just night and day. Music is truly a very, very, very funny, very sharp, quick-witted guy. And so is Motown. Both of these dudes, they've been in the radio hobby for a long, long time, and the banter that was going on between the two of them was priceless. And it was a shame that I couldn't catch any more of that on camera, but needless to say, that's why I just said, hey, you know what, it's time for you to join in on this conversation, because they had shared so much of their life experiences with radio together and been through so much together and been in the same scene for so long that it only made sense. So, music and Motown. Can I take my happy fat ass and walk across the room, gentlemen? Go. So, okay, you want the music to get the high boom, and then music kicked you to the curb to who?
No, music ain't never kicked me. Nobody kicked me to the curb.
No, he sent you off someplace, or did you build it?
I built it.
No.
I built it. Built both of them, the low boom and the high boom.
So now you came across the high boom setup because you were chasing who?
I wasn't really chasing nobody because the little story I told you earlier, I had that in North Carolina, I still had the low boom, and them guys had the high boom.
Really?
He was right there. He saw it.
All right.
Yeah. And then eventually I changed to the high boom. But I admit the high boom had a learning curve to it compared to the low boom. Low boom, I pretty much knew that real good. I had a little learning curve with the high boom.
So you get your high boom. And where'd you start out with boxes?
I started out with boxes, Chargers. Charger, a place where I had a whole lot of faith in Charger and his people. Anytime I needed a box worked on, I took it to Charger and his people. Charger and his people took care of every kind of box I needed taken care of when I first started out. But once I get my boxes together and working and maintenance on them, excuse me for saying it again, music kept my maintenance on my box.
So you're like an old dirty whore.
Yeah.
You are. You've had everything in your truck. You've had Dave and Charger and
Skywalker, since you want to put me in that category.
right. Well, I mean, if you're going to
And then-
sleep around, you got to get all
Then
the guys.
I built my own, started building my own
Right.
at that point. But I don't know. Like I said, it's been fun. I mean, I was. I guess when I first, like I said, you got his whole story, but I started when I was about 16, 17. I think it might have been 15. My dad we never had a base station. My dad had a truck had a fiberglass whip on it, antenna. And he'd park in the yard. There was a lot of time it was his work truck. He had a car too, but he'd drive the truck to work right much. And then he'd come home from work, I would go sit in the truck and talk on the radio to the locals. That's how I pretty much started out. And then I went.
Picking up.
Well, I mean, you got to go. You got to go. I mean, it is what it is. So you're hanging out in the front yard talking to Dad's truck.
Yeah, and we never had a base. My dad never had one. But actually, my cousin lived next door had a base. I probably talked on that bass more than they did. And then my cousin a little further down the street, he had a bass. And my youngest cousin, I pretty much, you know how they use the older cousin as babysitter, because
Right.
my cousin was in a band, and they would go out, and I would come over and watch my younger cousin. And that's how basically I was on bar base stations. And then later on, after I graduated from school, I went in the Navy. So I was out of CB for a while.
Right.
And then,
Well, when the government's got your attention, they want all of it all the time.
and then after I got out and got married, I got back into CB. Matter of fact, I guess Music Man came from, I used to play trumpet in school, and I also DJ. And so my cousin that lived next door, actually that was my first base station. His father had passed, and he still had the base station. I bought that base station from him. It was a Midland. That was my first base station, and I had a Antron, started off. And then I had a van, but the van was actually for DJing. But eventually I set it up to start keying in the streets.
Right. How long did it take you to punch a hole in the back?
It was the old van, I didn't care.
Well, first day.
As soon as I got into it, and like I said, started off with one antenna, and then next thing had two, and then next thing I had tried different type of antennas, 2 heights, and this, that, and the other. It was, at that time, my interest was there, and it was overwhelming. And like I said, I started off with a 8-pill 600 plus, and I took it down to Durham to see Moses at his shop, and he ended up taking the driver pill out of it, and I drove it with a 3-pill Dave.
This side of the Mississippi, Moses. We got to point that out. There's another one that was on our side of the Mississippi too.
Okay.
So yeah.
And that's how I started in the streets. So it got to the point that didn't nobody want to keep me in the streets anymore. But I'm from the country. I ain't like Motown. He up here around the city. I'm from the country. I was dealing with the guys on my end, not really coming up here. But it was more guys up here. And I built my first truck. So I ended up getting a Suburban. Pretty much it was a body. So me and my friend Snowman and Clockwork, it kind of worked out pretty good. I got the Suburban first. Then I ended up getting a motor from a guy at work. His brother-in-law was a mechanic at the Chevrolet dealership, so it was older motors they had swapped out.
Right.
And I got the motor, we rebuilt it, and put a new transmission in it. So I was out there on the circuit pretty good. I think we started I got the motor right before Thanksgiving. I tore it down before Thanksgiving, sent it to the shop. I was off during Christmas holiday. Thanksgiving holiday. We started putting the motor together. And then I think by the time we was off for Christmas holiday, we finished it up. We started putting it in the truck, and about February we headed on the road. And that March, because back then Jacksonville was in March. That was my first big break I went to, even though I got cheated. But
How many people were there?
in Jacksonville,
Yeah.
put it this way, I can't tell you how many people were there, but we never finished all the classes. I keyed the 8-pill class, they were coming down, and we started in the 4-pill class, never finished, gave our money back 4-pill and 2-pill class.
Did you go to this break or no?
Never participated in it. Been to a couple of them. A boy 5'9" that built my truck. He introduced me to Jacksonville. First time I went with him. That's when I saw music in them Ken. But that was before my time when thinking about Ken the truck.
So how did you guys actually meet?
Good question.
I swear. Because he on one end of the doggone forest, and I'm at the other end of the forest.
Oh.
So
And
you were
Probably at the CB breaks, probably.
You were at the beginning of the story, and then you guys met in between, and now you've kind of dropped out of it, and he's still carrying forward a little bit, right?
Yeah, well, like I said, I kind of lost interest, and I kind of
So
dropped
you,
a
so you guys
little
met
bit.
at the breaks, and then when did you guys actually start hanging around? And because I feel like we missed a huge window from, you know, you got your first 40 channel radio, got your first bass, and all of a sudden, boom, you're going to music to get a 5 antenna upper boom set up. You know, how much time and how much shit went on between you guys in that amount of time? Because it seemed like you had a little bit of friendship going on there.
No, I knew. Well, I get along with people easy. I don't care who you are. I get along with people.
Okay.
And when I first heard of him, is when I needed something done.
Yeah. Did Boogie Child tell you? Because I did his
No,
truck
I didn't
too.
know Boogie Jet.
Okay, I did.
And
Truck
people
too.
did told me the boy down Carolina, DC. I think that's who he was. Dude named down Carolina. He was doing trucks down South Carolina.
You told me DC was zero.
Zero now. And I met them at music break. And I asked them about doing my truck. And that's when somebody told me music do trucks. I said, oh shit. So I approached music about doing my truck. I ain't to go all the way to South Carolina to get a truck done.
Right.
You know, so and after that, I'm so goddamn worrisome and impatient. When I need something done, are you gonna do it, yes or not? If you don't, I'm going somewhere else. Money spent anywhere,
That's a fact.
you know. So I asked him to do it. He got a truck down there and built the truck. And ever since then, I got along with his family. Arthur got along with his family, got along with him.
Except my mother. One day he came to the house, she wouldn't even give him no water. He said it was hot outside.
I go down there waiting. He's not waiting for him. She would not come out there. Said, "Come sit in the house. Get out this sun." I said, "Goddamn, these country people."
Man, she always asks about you though.
Yeah.
How's Motown doing?
Right.
And she like me now.
She do. She always she asks
did.
about her regular. Yeah, she do. That's true. True
I
story.
got along with the family, the wife, the kids, mama. I got to meet his daddy one time. I met his daddy down at the what you call the break?
The one we had.
Yeah, no, the big break. Where you
In
sit-
Jacksonville.
Yeah, Jacksonville.
Mm.
That's when that first time I ever met your daddy.
Oh, okay.
You know, you didn't notice because I didn't know of you that much,
Mm-hmm.
and you was in the break,
Right.
riding around. That's my that music daddy right there. And what the hell? Okay.
Yeah, actually, I started running brakes first. We was running brakes first before I got the truck straight to start to compete. Really, I think I started competing. I won't say mid 2000s, and then like late 90s we started having brakes. And around King Queen West Point area, where I'm from.
Yeah, I didn't realize how close you guys are to Philly and Washington and New York, and I mean that's just a few-hour drive for you guys to go compete against them guys.
Shit. Few hours. Yeah, a few hours. A whole lot of hours.
Hey, compared to what I drive to
Yeah,
get here
but
to do
we-
this with you today, it was a few hours.
Yeah, a few hours. If you speaking of it, I have to agree with you on that.
Yeah, well the thing is now that the brakes are a little far and few in between. They ain't like they were before.
Yeah.
And a lot of clubs folded, but hopefully it'll come back strong. I mean, it seems like it's coming back some.
Yeah, we used to have a break, what, these 2 breaks a month.
Okay, so you guys meet up. You go to him to get the high boom set up.
Okay.
How many iterations of the high boom you guys been through? How many have you been through music in your time?
I would say 3 or 4.
About the same. 3 or 4. I got the high boom set up, got all that straight. So I figured my antenna system was doing what it's supposed to be doing. Then I decided to grow up. I want a big boy box. I said I want me a good 8-peel. I had an 8-peel that was built by somebody else. And I sent it to him to have it repaired. And he told me how many watts he can get out of it and send it back to me. I didn't send the box off to him to tell me what he can get out of it. I sent the box to fix it the best you can. After then, I lost faith in them. So I did my usual. I called music. Music, I need an 8-peel. Where can I get one? He turned me on to his buddy, What the boy name?
That's what-
Key-Dam.
Okay.
He turned me on the Key-Dam.
He done had some boxes that he won't use.
Yeah. Key-Dam turned me on the BBI.
Oh God, that's how I come into the picture.
That's how you come in the
So
picture.
now, where did Rip come into the picture?
Well, I was
May he
talking.
rest in peace. God bless.
All right. Well, Rip came in the picture way back. I was already talking. My antenna system was doing what I needed it to do. You know. Then Rip came into the picture, redesigned my antenna system, and plus gave me what I wanted from my antenna system: looks, height. My truck was small, low to the ground. I went high boom to get my antennas even with another Suburban, not a van, even with a Suburban to compete. Because I always been told by listening to the gate, I got a mean mob, but I ain't got no modulation out there. My carrier want that. So Rip came up with designing my antenna system so I can get up there with the boys and set my SWRs, and whatever he designed, that's what I stuck with. And that's why me and him got along so good. One time he set my antennas up backwards. I went to New York with my antenna set up backwards. I ain't give a damn. That's the way he set them. That's the way I'm going to run them. We realized it was backwards till it was too late. You know, my antennas are marked. But when we was putting them up, they wasn't paying any attention how they was marked.
Right.
You know, they didn't put number 2 and number 3 supposed to be, just them 2. The front and the back.
Yeah.
And I looked, I said, I wasn't in the antennas that must have realized that your back door's supposed to be higher than your height. And I looked, I said, why is it sitting like that? That's when I looked, oh, y'all just swap the antennas around. But when it came to antennas, I ain't going nowhere but to Rip. All the way to New Jersey to find Rip. After Music built the boom system, set my antennas. After that, I went to Rip redesign. He kept the boom system, but Rip retuned the antennas, set the antennas up, showed me how to ground the antennas up, what kind of coax to run on the antennas.
Man, I forget when he called me up and asked me if I had that stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, yeah. Told me what length. That's kind of a secret. So then that told me what he was looking for input impedance on the antenna, so then I knew how to set up the other boxes. And so that was in like what, 2000 and, because we were looking at your trophies that you got behind you, and that, what was the first one that you actually won was 2000 and, what did we come up with last night? 6, 7, something like that?
9, 6, 9, I think 2009 or even 6.
That sound right to you?
That's about right. I think my first trophy was, I don't know, 2004. I think he wasn't out there yet.
Right.
Yeah. Where did Rip come? What is Rip's history? So we can put that down.
That's
And let's be honest about it, because we're only got one opportunity to get this man's
that's
history.
Chargers. I met him through Charger. That's when I met him. He was Charger's friend. That's how I met him.
And he knew everybody. Like everybody I've ever met, I chat with him like, oh yeah, we knew Rip. But Rip did all my antennas. I mean, he must have been really busy with that. I mean, didn't he had something to do with Driver at some point, didn't he?
Driver, he called Driver his son.
Yeah.
Right.
Small Driver, his #1 son.
Oh, yeah. You told me that, yeah.
Yeah,
I was his son twice removed.
see, Small Driver was the one that Rip could, how you call that thing, experiment with.
Right.
Build something, let Driver test it out.
Yep.
Build something, let Driver test it out. You know, he got another dude, Boss Guy, does that's one man. But that's where they went. I got to know Rip after he left Georgia. You know, when the hell introduced me to Rip? I don't even remember who introduced me to Rip. I was messing with a dude named Fancy Dancing. And I left Fancy Dancing and went to Rip. And been messing with Rip when Rip was alive, rest in peace. Love him to death. Sorry he left us.
I wish I could have spent more time with him, but when I finally found out he was sick, it was pretty bad.
Ain't nobody know it. It wasn't living amongst them how sick he was until after it was too late when he's in the hospital.
He must have just pulled it together when people come around.
Yeah, well, Rick, we went to, we was somewhere up north, and I told the people in the truck, I said, look at Rick look like sickly, ain't moving as fast, you know. 'Cause I noticed he was slowing down, he kept forgetting things. Because all he had to do, whenever I'm going to a break, come on up and get your tune-up. Just ride up there, you retune the antennas, set them up, see what they need. Then next thing I know, a month later, he in the hospital.
I think last time I saw him was at my break. What was that? 2017, the last one I had.
Yeah, he came down with a
He came
boxcar.
there. Like I say, it was they was a little warm out there that day. Him and Boxcar together. Boxcar had a little problem with his truck, and I saw him. I said, "Man, come on inside here, grab you something to eat." Cause they're like, I don't know if the heat was getting to him or what.
Right.
But I told him, you need to come on inside and get you something to eat and sit down for a minute. And he was saying, well, I got to get Boxcar food. I said, don't you worry about Boxcar. I got that. You need to come here and sit down for a minute.
Right.
And it looked like I said, I don't know what to be. It looked like the heat or something might have been getting to him. So, I always look out for people. But especially if you see something, say something, So I didn't want anything to happen to anybody, especially we come to have a good time.
Right.
And fellowship and have a good time. That's what it's all about.
So, your giant wall of stuff here. I mean, you've got a few there and a couple more over here. You've won all of these since 2009?
Right, since 2009.
And how many different breaks on average do you think you go to a year, or were going to? Because you're starting to taper off now, right?
Yeah, we tapered off a whole lot now.
COVID, I think, is what really kind of squished it. We were running strong until COVID, right?
Yeah, and things started slowing down before COVID.
Before COVID. Yeah. When the fuel prices, gas prices started going up. When gas started getting $2 and above $2, the brakes started to slow down.
Yeah.
Because before then, I think the most I ever went to was like 10. That's like most of the time. Jacksonville normally would be the first one. That's March. And for me anyway, normally Rocky Mountain was the last one. That's November. Between March and November, I've been from New Jersey down to North Carolina, down to Georgia, to different breaks in between.
Right.
So, but when the gas started going up, yeah, that's when things started slowing down. The clubs kind of started folding, and I'm pretty sure COVID didn't do a good job neither.
That's the biggest thing that actually cut down most of the breaks, which I noticed is that most clubs, back in the day, you had 20, 30 members in the club.
Yeah.
After COVID, you had 10, 5 members in the club. They didn't have enough club members to do what they needed to do. But they still didn't fold. They just went out there, some of them just went out there and sacrificed. But to run a break, you got to have at least 8 people.
I host 250 people and I do it with 4 dudes.
Let's see. Well, we talking about with a key down and everything.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
We did shootouts, but there wasn't enough people really participating in it. So what was your first trophy that you won shooting out, period?
This is where it gets good. This is where the story gets to get good, in my opinion, because now we're starting to talk about the achievements that he has he has done. Now, I cannot stress this enough to everybody in the radio community. There are going to be people that watch this and they're going to be, oh, look, he's taking credit for saying about me that I'm taking credit. No, that's not the case. Like I said a few minutes ago, it takes a team, right? So I might have had my hands inside the boxes and maybe adjusted a few things and retuned a few things and found some watts in the box or whatever, but it is a team effort. Me personally, have never won anything, and I want to make that really clear. I have never won a key down. I've never been to one. I've never taken my own truck and gone to any of these functions and done the test of manhood to see who was the top dog that day in whatever class. I've never done that. So you will never hear me brag to any of you or anybody else, oh, I've won all of these things, because that's not a factual statement. And so when I hear other builders do it, I look at them, I'm like, well, dude, you haven't won shit. Your guys that have put up the money, your guy's the one that went and sweated his balls off and spent all the time and energy, months dicking around with the antenna and a field strength meter, and months trying this coax jumper and this coax jumper and that to do this, to make this work. And he's the one that spent all the time making sure that the alternators are right and the pulleys are right, and you've got the right kind of tension on the right side of the belt so nothing slips and your voltage is staying. They've done that. Not you, the builder. So when you hear these guys start to talk, I really try to make this a point. That I'm not trying to brag at all. I'm not trying to show off. This one guy has won a lot of classes and a lot of trophies over his time. He has. There might have been some of my equipment in the equation, but it's got nothing to do with me. It's got everything to do with him and his group of guys. Rip, music, Motown. And I was in there doing my thing, but it's what I do every day here. So I just want to put a cautionary tale on this next bit of the story. This is not me or me trying to self-aggrandize myself. It's about me trying to document him and what he's done. He just happens to be one of the people that I'm the closest with, and I wanted to bring this story to all of you. I also want you to keep in mind, this isn't the only person I work with. This also isn't the only person that's won a lot of stuff with things that have come from here. So just keep that in mind. Gentlemen, on that note, here we go.
Did we ever figure that out yesterday when we were looking at this?
I don't know how to get over that. Let me see what that thing said. Because this was in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. And I don't. Trying to get me tear the house up, man.
Hey, I'm only asking you to make small sacrifices now.
2008.
And when did we start working together?
All of this. BBI. Not up here. Back there is 4 BBI.
Who were you running back then?
I was running Chargers equipment. Charger and Bodine. Running Charger and Bodine equipment. And 1, 2, 3. Until he sent me back a piece of equipment. Tell me this is the best he can get out of it. I ain't sending no box to get the best. I was sending a box to get what I needed to come out of it. What I assumed could come out of it. But I had Bodine boxes and they had Charger boxes. And I switched around. I don't know. How many years? 10 years? How many years have I been messing with you?
I don't remember. That's why I'm asking you. I just remember you calling me one day and says, hey, I want to send you a box to work with it and, do it your way. And so I did it and I sent it back to you and you were really quite pleased with it. And then the next thing you know, you're asking me to do all your boxes.
Yep.
So then the next thing I had like 5 or 6 boxes show up from you and I just ripped them all apart and rebuilt them and redid everything.
That's exactly what you did.
And then you got mad at me because I sent them back with all the original builder stickers, names on them, because I'm not a big fan of taking people's names off boxes, even though the guts might all be new and different, but Yeah, I remember that. And then you called me up and you said, "Man, we clean sweeped it. You'd won like every class." The next thing you went and did, whatever it was, and I was like, "Cool." It wasn't really registering in my head what you were doing, but it seemed like you're really solid in a 4 and a 16, and you give them a whole lot of hell in an 8 pill, from what I gather. Yeah.
8 and 16, 4 and 2. 2 I don't play with. 2 I just get in there because they need somebody in there. 2 I couldn't deal with. 4, that's the only thing you don't mess with. Music 4.
That's right. You got the yes.
And the 2.
And the 2. Right. And that I give you reason, already gave you reason why I don't ship them to you, because
Well, he's here,
His
number
box.
one, and that's his box. That's
Right.
right. Now, I always admired that about you, that you stick with the people that, if you're running somebody's box, you're not going to go and say, "Hey, take it to music's going to be all inside of it," and blah, blah, blah. You stick with your guys, and I always thought that was, it's just rare to find, I guess would be the best way to put it.
well, I learned it the hard way, looking for good technicians before I came up with you. I take a box that's about from 101, Spider-Man, Bodine, 9, 5-9, and every time I take them a box, I don't care who makes it, I take them a box, the first damn thing people know how they do, you don't need this, you don't need this, you don't need this. Start snatching shit out. Till I got tired of, if it's in there, I must need it. But snatching the shit out, they still gave me back what I came with. But then I found out about you. Other than taking stuff out, you retune the box and everything. Take the box out from the guts. Take my box. I seen you 8 pill, 16 pill. Took every goddamn thing out of the box.
Well, I had to start over because there've been so many people, and let's face it, that 8 pill's a whore. There've been a lot of people up inside that box, right, at one point or another. So I thought, well, let's just give it a clean sweep. Let's go in and put a new board in it. Let's put all new transformers in it. Let's test every cap. It wasn't I was trying to snatch anything out of it. I just wanted to have a nice, clean plate to start from, I guess. But yeah, let's take a small break.
All right, gentlemen. We're going to jump in on this where we took a quick little break, and I want to put a big shout out to my friend 12. 12 called me, been almost a year ago now, and he says to me, he goes, I've watched all your other video interview content. How do we get more of this content going? And I told him, I said, buddy, you work in Hollywood, and all it takes is time and money. Well, he helped quite a bit. My friend 12, he's down here in the corner, 12 in the Valley Productions. 12 stepped in and said, hey, I called him up and I said, I'm going to go do this trip, and I have the opportunity to go talk with this person. This is our opportunity. He says, get on it. 12 going forward is also going to help. I've got another big trip that I've got to do where I'm going to Georgia. And I am getting all of the big guys in Georgia. And it's going to take probably a good 3 weeks, if not a little more, somewhere in there, to get everybody I want to get in Georgia. And I'm going to try and do that sometime the end of this year or the beginning of next. So thanks to 12, and thanks to the Patreon supporters. I don't know if you guys have noticed, if you're watching on your phone and you don't have a YouTube account, you haven't had one ad. And we're an hour into this so far. That's because of the support of the Patreons. 99.9% of the money, well, 99.1% of the money that I get from the Patreon donations goes into the production of everything here in this shop. It pays for the cameras, it pays for the mics, it paid for this trip. I don't know anybody else that's in the amp building community that has been fortunate enough or has been graced enough to where they can just stop their life and go travel a month to produce this kind of content for all of you guys to consume. And that's solely because of the Patreon supporters. It's a fact. So if you're enjoying this content and you've ever learned anything from this channel and you enjoy the fact that there is no ads in the video whatsoever. I don't know about you, I hate it. I'll be watching something and at the worst time, there's going to be an ad that pops up and then you got to sit there for 15, 20 seconds, 2 minutes to watch an ad about whatever. I hate that. I'm able to afford to be able to do these things because of my friend 12 and my good friends down here in the Patreon channel. If you're interested and you're enjoying the content, you might want to think about coming and joining us on Patreon. It's www.patreon.com/BBIAMS. Come create an account. You'll get to have access to all of this stuff, plus much more. There's a bunch of behind the scenes content. I try to put up a post at least every day of what I'm working on, a bunch of pictures that don't make it to Facebook. You guys would be shocked how much doesn't go to Facebook. About 80-90% of it goes just exclusively to the Patreon group. All the YouTube videos, they have access to them days before they come out on the YouTube channel. And there's quite a few of them they have access to that never come out on the YouTube channel at all. I'm just saying it's an idea. I want to give a big shout out to thanks for 12. A big shout out to the guys on the Patreon channel. And I mean that honestly from the bottom of my heart. If it wasn't for the guys in the Patreon group, I could not do this. I'm just saying. On that note, let's wrap this up. The next 30-minute segment, you guys are going to really enjoy it. Gentlemen, I say thank you. I'll see you. Give me a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe. By the way, like 86% of you guys are not subscribed. The people that view, like 86% of the people that watch the videos, you're not subscribed. You might want to think about subscribing, making sure to hit the notification icon. That way you get notified whenever a new video comes out. And I thank every single one of you for watching and following along.
You said I was a whore. You a whore. You forgot mechanic.
Who?
Mechanic.
What about mechanic?
Mechanic, Lord, help me, no. No. He not work on nothing but my 4-pill.
He only tried that one time.
Yeah, and left him the fuck alone too, down. He never work on nothing but that 4-pill before I got you to peel me a decent 4-pill. Shit.
Oh man.
I ain't need him. I let 2020 held on to that. You could have that. Took my 4-pill, brought it over here and everything. Well, if you just want to see goddamn whites, I can show you some whites. Got to turn that shit up and everything. Yeah, them guys, but look at the reflex.
Yeah. What's gonna happen?
So we're gonna build you one and send you one already together. Then you know how to put it together.
Yeah.
Better man than me.
He said $20. I
don't care. Fuck you said $20. I said go out there and fix this one right here for me.
Oh my God. You guys are tight. Good friends. It's hilarious. So, you're a whore.
That's what he said. He called me a whore.
We back on.
Fuck yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, you said it. I did.
I can edit whatever I want.
said
Post. I don't give a shit.
Now he called me a whore behind a woman running behind women folks now. The reason he called me a whore, I would like to know too.
You was said earlier about me. Well, you was with Dave May, Charger. You heard it with me earlier.
Yeah, okay.
You're an old hoe, dude.
So that's why you called me. See, now we know why he called me a hoe. Because all the different people that I went through before I ended up home.
Okay.
Dealing with Mr. BBI.
If the timeline was infinite, I'm sure I wouldn't be the last girl that you took to the prom. Come on now.
Shit, I ain't got time. I can't afford another girl to the prom. I'm going to tell you like that, straight up and down. And I ain't got time to try to learn nobody else's way. It's bad enough. I got to deal with it. To get shit fixed through you, I got a 6-day transit time.
Well, all you got to do is pay for next day or overnight.
Yeah, I pay for next day and you go pick it up 4 days later. So I might as well wait it. But if I tell you it's coming, you take next day. That's what that's what I got going for me with dealing with you. If I tell you it's coming, you deal with it.
All I know is if you send me something in November, I don't have to worry about it for at least 2 months. That's all I know. But man, when March rolls around, I gotta be Johnny on the spot. That's all I know. Oh, Lord. So that whole second shelf is us. That's Rip, that's Derail, that's you, that's music, and that's me, all working together.
Right, all working together. You got to get it all together. If all pieces are not working properly, you ain't going nowhere.
You know, I talk with Derail, and I get the opinion that he's got a lot more radios on the line than what guys want to give him credit for. I just have that, I get that feeling. Where you're not even ashamed of it, you got it plastered on the side of your truck. Derail radio, rest in peace, Rip antennas, you know.
That's what I run, D-Rail radio. Everybody know I run a D-Rail. If it works for me, I don't mind sharing it.
Right.
You know, if I'm doing something good, you know, it ain't my radio. It's my antenna system, it's my boxes, it's my battery system. All that has to come together. If I got a good antenna system, I don't mind sharing it. But if you don't want to take the time to get it all synchronized, you ain't doing nothing.
Imagine being the meat in the middle of the sandwich and trying to figure out, okay, I'm building to a radio guy that's in Georgia. I'm in frickin' the island of Idaho. And my guy is in Virginia. And I'm trying to figure out the antenna, plus the radio, plus coax link, plus... You guys know,
Yep.
if I was here, it would take 2 seconds to get the damn thing done, but I'm sitting here just... It was a lot of guesswork in the beginning, trying to figure out
This gonna match this, is that gonna match that.
and this is the length of coax we need to have for this, and okay. And what it really, I think we started to fire on all cylinders when I had one conversation with Rip, and he told me what he was looking at on the antenna analyzer and giving me the numbers, and that's when I was like, okay, now I know how to set the box up. And we went from popping like every other shootout to not blowing anything out for the whole year.
The whole year didn't blow a box.
Not one. Well, except for maybe music's, but then,
Yeah, that's my bad knee.
Oh shit.
Yeah, well, like I say, I wouldn't just tell you about me. I'm a Dalton Thompson. That's my last name, Thompson. And
Okay, Mr. Thompson.
and I just like to try to do stuff on my own. I understand there's people out there you can get, but the antenna system pretty much I built. I mean, I had one, but this is my second truck. My first truck caught on fire. This is actually what I got now. This is my second
Was
truck.
it pre or post the shootout? Did that have anything to do with the shootout shit or no?
No. I was on the way to go get a haircut, and it popped back through the carburetor and caught on fire.
Oh fuck.
Yeah. But anyway, that's something I wanted to forget. Let's move on.
But you saved the amplifiers, right?
That's the only thing I did save.
Right.
The whole because just luckily I guess I couldn't lock the truck up. So every time I go to a break, or either if I go to a break, I'll take all the amps out the truck and take them to the room, and then bring them back that morning to the day of the break.
Gun, man.
Yeah, and I couldn't lock the truck. I couldn't get the back window. It had an old hand crank back window on it.
Right.
And I couldn't get the hardware for it, and I couldn't lock it.
Right.
So every time I get home, I'll pull all my amplifiers out, take them in the house. So, like I said, I think if everything had burnt up, I probably would have called it quits right then. But I still had amplifiers and no truck. So I did another truck. And,
Insurance and getting on.
and then like I said, the antennas was in the truck. All that got burned up. And so one of my sponsors gave me a set of antennas to run. He made a set of antennas for me. And I would go to compete, but I could never win. Might go a couple rounds, but never could win. And so a friend of mine that helped me do my testing, when I finally got a break at the end of the season, I said, it's something, I don't know what it is. I believe it's the antennas. So I ended up making my own set of antennas. And my friend I was testing to, I put the other antennas that my sponsor built for me, and I made a key to him, and then I put mine on the truck. He was telling me he saw 2 S units difference in the antennas, and I told him, well, okay, that's all I need to know. And so he didn't know what I was doing because I never told him what I was doing. So he asked me what I did. I told him I just switched the antennas, and he couldn't believe it. He said, the 2 S units, you didn't turn the volts up or change the dead key, and I said, no, I didn't change anything. Just antennas.
People don't believe me when I tell them the antenna is the most, in my opinion, is even more important than the amp.
Oh yeah, but
By far.
really, most time that's the key to the whole system is the
Right,
antenna.
antenna, yeah.
I believe that 100%. Yeah, and
You know, me and D-Row, we did that test here not too long ago where we had really good Mother Nature. We both had live feeds going, and where we both went to 50,000, and neither one of our needles moved from 10 to 50,000 watts. And that comes down to a debate because it's like, you get going in your head, in the back of your brain, you start thinking, man, I got a 2 pip, I go to a 4, they're going to hear me better. I go to 4, they're going to hear me even better than that. When I get to an 8, they're going to... But in the mobile, man, you get around 24, 30, or 32, just stop. You ain't going to hear you any better. You know, it's just not happening. And it's the same thing with the bass. You get past about 10,000, you're just pissing and it's coming back. You know, doesn't make any difference. Antenna, if you can put more antenna up there, it's a whole lot easier to pick up a lot more gain. Going in the direction you want to have the RF go, by far.
if I finally got the antenna system changed, I finally start to win again after that. You know, been a minute. You know, but something to learn.
So, I'm not going to ask, but you guys have made the observation that your trucks do talk off like one corner of the truck a little bit better than the other. You guys ever made that
I
observation?
never made that observation, but most time it's side with the battery at. Most of the time, most
I
cases,
know where my truck
like ground.
talk from. Mine talk off the right side.
So that affect how you guys pulled the line?
It
Not
messes
me.
with your mind. Thinking it helps, but I haven't seen any improvement. I just found out about a year ago which side my truck talks out of. But when I pull to the line and I try to point to where my truck is pointing, I don't see any difference between winning and losing. Because winning and losing, mine usually so damn close. And when I listen to the gate, they just had cleaner modulation than what I had. You know. I didn't see any difference just knowing which way. I know my truck ain't talking out the side and ain't talking out the back. I
Right.
know which side it's talking out of it. I get the more feel.
Yeah, I found that when I put my white truck together, the one that had the 64 in it, it seemed like I was always talking out of the left nose of that truck. It was just hotter for some reason. The black truck, I don't give a shit if it's going that way, great.
No, it's going that way.
I don't care.
Yeah, I remember back in the day, had this guy from North Carolina called Redbird, had a old Ford truck.
Yeah.
And like you said, that's how he had his antenna set up, so it go right off that corner. His back was on the opposite, his back antenna was on the opposite corner of the truck.
It's the most ground plane you think about it. But, no, I mean, even with the antenna right down, like, when I had the white truck, I had a bounce back, had the hot, and I had 3 directors, but I pulled that third one, so I just did 2 directors going on that thing. And it seemed like it was always just, it would just kind of come off that side of the truck. Just a little bit hotter, you know what I mean? Man.
You also have the case that when they make a ground loop and kind of mess everything's up.
Right.
I had one of the guys came to the house and he was keying in the street and he had a van. He was telling me something he won't win it. And I checked it with the field strength meter and the strongest signal was coming up the left side of the truck. And I asked him what he did. He said, as he put any grounds on it, he said he had a few grounds on the truck. And I said, well, you go back home, set your field streak meter in front of your truck, and take loose 1 ground at a time. You'll find it. And he had put a ground on the motor, and he took that loose, and the signals came out the front like it's supposed to.
So what did you guys think of my grounding bonding video I did? Did you guys ever watch that?
Too much goddamn grounding for me. Man, you tore the whole roof
I didn't
down.
see it.
I saw it.
Well, it's a newer truck. It's held together with glue. It's not like yours where it's held together with weld.
Hey,
Okay, the newer trucks, the reason nobody wants to run the newer trucks is because they're held together with glue.
oh,
So each body panel isn't welded to the next body panel. It's glued. So I had to like embrace that because I didn't want to go to a 1990s or early, 2000s truck. I wanted something that was a little bit more comfortable. I
okay.
guess would be the best way to put it. So then I had to go and I had to bond everything. And I thought, well, I mean, you've seen it, haven't you, music?
No,
You have not seen the grounding bonding video where I sat there and I
I haven't
that
seen
truck,
it.
every panel on that truck's grounded. The frames are grounded.
Every goddamn
every, like, foot and a half.
panel on it.
The doors are bonded. The hood's bonded. The gas cap's bonded. The freaking spare tires bonded. I mean, it's
Did a lot of work.
Yeah. when I saw it and saw what he was doing to the truck, I don't need no CB truck that bad to ride around the street.
if you ride around it, it's just like riding around in.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say, you into what you're doing. You enjoy what you're doing. I like what I'm doing, but I don't put too much effort in what I'm doing. Put it like that. Shit. I believe if I need something done, pay somebody to do what I need done. Oh, I need this done. You mind doing it for me? What am I? Okay, do it your way. I'll try your way. If I don't like your way, then I'll try somebody else's way. I ain't got no patience if something ain't working. I ain't gonna stick with it. Just cause I like you, I love you. If it ain't working, it got to go.
Yeah, because that one antenna system, you only use it one time. Next thing you know, you call me.
This ain't working.
All right, music. What is the biggest break you've ever been to?
Jacksonville.
More people than you knew what to do with, right?
Yeah. I did win the 2-pill there one year. After almost didn't.
Had to take 2 days to get through that class.
I wouldn't know how many. I wouldn't doubt that 2-pill class. They started off with the 2-pill class that day. I wouldn't doubt that 2-pill class lasted close to 2 hours. Cause I was like answering, when you calling, when I'm gonna key again, and cause actually I almost didn't make that break. We didn't secure our room with a credit card, so we ran to the hotel first before we went to the killing field. And my friend was driving my truck, and when we pulled in to the parking lot, I had a little problem. Most of the time, it would idle up a little bit, just tapped his already on idle down. Well, it was still idled up. He cut the truck off. It threw the belt off right in the parking lot at the hotel. So we had to go get our room and put the belts and stuff back on. And by the time I got to the field, he wouldn't even let me register. So
You still managed to make it though.
well, one of the guys had problems and backed out. That's the only way I got in. Yeah, that's the only way I got in. We ran, so I had to run the classes he already had signed up for. And I think he only signed up for, all I know was 2, 4, and 8. And I was having a little problem with the truck that day. Actually,
It sounds like more than a little bit of a problem.
yeah, well, I had a problem with the voltage regulators that day. Technically, I'm not gonna say who I beat in the final 2-pill, but I keyed on batteries. Yeah, and I did, cause I know the regulator was messed up, and I didn't know she had threw the belt again. So when we finally looked in the hood, the belt's sitting down there. So the belt they threw was the belt for the voltage for the driver,
Right.
and then the regulator had messed up for the follow box. So I was keying on batteries, but if it was a bigger class, most likely I would have lost. But I had a big battery back, so that's the reason I figured I won, because I had like 9 batteries on my final.
God, if you only would have had lithium batteries back then, right?
Yeah.
It's like cheating almost at this point. The lithium is Mr. Jefferson, Mr. Motown.
Yes, sir.
Biggest break you ever went to.
That's a bad thing for me. I didn't go to the big breaks, because the big breaks, like he talking about was before my time. I was a spectator, but no participant. Biggest break I ever participated in, I think it was in D.C. It was breaks up in D.C. And that's when all the majority of all the AC boys had retired. Then the super transmitter boys came along. That was the AC crowd. But there was one group. I was hardly couldn't understand. About 5 or 6 of them. Y'all can't against each other. Here y'all go. So that means y'all can't do what make you pot. But they was having fun, enjoying themselves.
Right.
Yeah. But no, DC the biggest place I think I ever went.
Back to you, music. What's the biggest amplifier you've ever seen?
Biggest I ever seen.
And seen run? With your own eyes, not YouTube, your own eyes.
Me personally, probably 16, but I have stuck my head up in other people's trucks.
Oh, so you was down the road with Charger?
Yeah, I have stuck my head in Charger's truck and seen it run. Put it that way, but I
How
haven't.
many had the 10 boxes in there?
I don't
1032s?
I don't know how many he had. It was plenty.
Yep.
Yeah, because I remember one year he had less. He had them just on top of the battery box, and then the next year he came down there and blew the motor. He had them all mounted on the side windows and all that other. It was more. I know it was more than it was the year before that. Yeah.
Blew the belt and rained everything off the battery.
His son did it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jay.
So, did you ever get to see Muscle in his day or his time? Muscle Man?
That's the guy. He's Atlanta, right? He's Atlanta.
Boy, don't give me the lion. I just know the legend of Muscle Man.
I don't.
200 and something plus transistors in the back of his box, or
No,
300.
he's the DC guy. No, I know.
And you, my friend, Mr. Jefferson, what's the biggest amp you've ever seen or seen run?
That's what I'm saying. Think Chargers. Chargers the biggest thing I ever seen. Never seen nothing else since that.
Well, he's the biggest DC, and then you had them other guys. What was the guy that had that van? Shy.
Well, there's a lot there.
Yeah.
That's unless we got direct knowledge. Let's just.
Well, there was AC Sky.
Right.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
AC. Yeah. I don't remember this name, but
Yeah, but Chargers for a DC Charger.
yeah, what he said, DC box.
That you guys have seen out here. Right.
But normally the biggest thing that we fight with on the field is a 16.
A lot of the other classes people don't really run anymore. These 24 and 32 pill. Yeah.
Every now and then somebody will bring it up. Like, people that ain't even keying. Let's run Sky the Limit DC. Then talking about a 32 pill. I only went out there once with a
Right.
32 pill to run.
Yeah.
And me and my dumb self, the dude, let me see what you're doing. I punched the motor, just keyed the mic, whoop. He rang. Road doctor. God damn it.
Well, road dog.
Yeah. He told me to bring the box. You gonna bet me? We gonna keep. He came over there just when everything was winding down. Let's see what they're doing. Right. Hit the foot pedal all the way up there. Foot pedal was up there and everything. BBI built. Hit the foot pedal. I said, damn, that ain't keying right. I was looking at, who are you fooling? I saw that meter. He backed off it. First and only time I put the 32 peel in the truck. Truck is designed to run my 32 peel. But I want to run it if somebody.
That is literally one of the prettiest things I've ever built. That is like I told you last night. That and a copper mine.
The copper man. Was that
One of the
Frankenstein?
pictures- No. That was Frankenstein. This is copper inserts and heat sink and a big copper bar that went down the back with a positive distribution, and it was. And that thing made some serious power. He's still never blown one pill in that box. Of course, from what I understand, it's all wrapped up in plastic. But So you took that 32 pill up just that one time.
Right. Only time it stays in the house. I used it upstairs. Only time I've ever been
Spent all
out.
that damn time and energy, and you spent all that money, and it's been used one time.
No, I use it all the time upstairs. Now I would take my box, my transistor box, and fight any 2 box out chip.
If you guys are interested about what amplifier we're talking about, I'll make sure in the description that the video is linked. Well, music, thank you.
All right. Nice meeting you.
Mr. Jefferson, thank you.
Hope
You've been
your
a
trip-
wonderful host.
Hope your trip be safe on your way back home, and well,
Shit,
you got
whenever
events
his
too.
ass get back home, he still talking about, you don't told Chauncey now. Day Sunday, he talking about seeing people on fucking Thursday. So when is he going home?
That's just leaving here. I'll be leaving out of this area around Thursday or Friday. And then I head south.
You go to Atlanta.
He
Going to
left,
the heart.
he left home 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Everywhere I go, everybody wants to spend time, right? And why wouldn't I want to spend time?
I can go along with you. That's your thing. And plus, you in the sales and service and stuff. So if I was into that, that was me.
I ain't sold nothing on this trip, but I sure fixed a lot of
But
shit.
you fixed a lot of shit. Even looked at boxes that didn't even make no sense.
Oh,
I get a kick out of that one. Oh, okay. Well, I'll let him know what it's doing. How you gonna let somebody know what your stuff doing? That's the impression he gave us. His box. He just.
We had a gentleman show up here earlier today, and he wanted to get his box looked at. He knew I was here, but he didn't ask me to look at it. He asked somebody else. And we pulled the lid off it, and we all like, ooh, it's burned up. Yeah.
And then there's a 12 here. He thought it was a 10 pill.
that one the
Heat wave or something.
okay.
The charger box with the heat wave label on the front is what I saw.
I saw one of them. I heard one of them had what 414,
That's it.
454 driving,
Yeah, same
box.
and it's burnt up.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it been to you.
No, it ain't been to me.
Oh.
I heard about it. I heard about it that way. So I'm somebody was interested in maybe buying it. So maybe I need to give him a call later on.
But why they bring it to me though? I don't work on boxes.
Well, you know why he bought it here.
See, Mr. BBI.
The man, the legend.
He barely even talked to me when he was here.
Well, he
I
had,
walked down the shop and just sat down in the chair and just sat there like a fat Jabba the Hutt and just looked at him like, what?
well, he wanted just your opinion. He